What's going on, everybody? Goofy Rexy here, and hope everybody is doing well, and wanted to make an updated video today to the most valuable teams in Marvel Strike Force. So much has changed over the past few months, and there are some new teams now that have come into the fold as being some of the most valuable teams in the game here. Now, when I think about most valuable teams, I'm usually thinking about characters, teams that have multifaceted usage. Now, I will be honest, there are going to be some teams on this list are probably a little bit more one-dimensional, but they're so dominant in that particular game mode that you do have to include them on this list. And I also did as well try to think about the mid-game point a little bit earlier than the mid-game point as well in making some of these teams. So some of these teams, although may not be late game viable per se, they definitely are still valuable towards the mid-game point or at the mid-game point. So I also included this as well. But gonna be an interesting list, guys. Hope you guys are gonna have fun with this here. But before we get into the video, here's a quick word from my sponsor. All right, guys, today I wanted to talk about a game I've been playing for a little while here called Raid Boss. Now, there's going to be an event that's going to be starting in this game on Valentine's Day, and I wanted you guys to join on in and play the game, but also wanted your guys' support as well. Now, you might be asking yourself the question, what the hell is Raid Boss? Now, Raid Boss is an MMORPG game where you get to be a guild leader or a boss. You collect characters, which are called guild members in the game. You build them up, and then you go fight bosses. There's different game modes. There's some drag and drop mechanics. You go through dungeons, story modes. You can climb the tower. There's 125 different floors to climb the tower, or you can even fight each other. Now, right now, as I mentioned, it's a very good time to join the game. There's going to be a new event that's going to be starting on Valentine's Day. It's going to go all the way until the 25th. This is going to give you an opportunity here for you to earn some free stuff. This is also going to be an event that's going to be featuring myself and then some other CCs as well. The event is going to be called Show Some Love. With this event, you're going to have an opportunity to vote for your favorite CC. Hopefully that's me, right? And then you're also going to be able to get some other stuff. One of the cool things that you're going to be able to get here is a new character, or not a new character, but one of the featured characters, a rare tank in the game called Healers Adjust. You're also going to get some in-game currency, which are going to be called candy hearts that you can use for some useful items in the game. You will get an in-game title or chat, or title for your chat, which is going to be called Team Goofy Rexy if you vote for me. And then for the CC that does win, there's going to also be a Goofy Rexy skin that's going to be in the Raid Boss game as well. So to be a part of this, guys, check out the links that are down below. There's an Android and an iOS link that's there. Appreciate your support, guys. Hope to see you in game as well. All right, y'all, welcome back. But let's jump into this list of the most valuable teams here in Marvel Strike Force. First team on this list for me is Infinity Watch. Now, I know what you're going to say. They kind of lost their fervor a little bit, but they're still a solid and one of the most valuable teams in the game to me. I'm still using them in Arena right now. I still see that sometimes I see that Zemo, Cable, Emma, Eternals comp, and I'm like, you know what? I'll bring in my Infinity Watch team. They can handle that. I'm still seeing Adam Warlock right now, Philavel, you know, with Eternals as well in Arena. So at least from the perspective of them being a full team and also still sort of a hybrid team, I do think the Infinity Watch definitely deserves to be on this list. Not only that, you have Gamora, Philavel, Nebula that are available to the early part and definitely can be used up until the mid-game point in the game as well. Gamora and Nebula together are a dynamic duo. So they definitely, for me personally, do deserve to be on this list. Now, I know that they've lost a little bit of their fervor, but they're still also a dominant war offense team as well, right? So if you're going against Heroes for Hire, they're still a solid and reliable counter. Not great against Young Avengers, a full Young Avengers team. They can beat them depending on the power level, but not as super dominant. But they're still a good war offense team, even against that Eternals America Chavez comp that I've seen sometimes as well. So for me, they definitely gotta make this list as one of the most valuable teams. They've kind of fallen off a little bit because of the Eternals and because now Young Avengers in war, but they're still, in my opinion, probably top 3 team overall in the game, like a fully synergized team overall in the game. So for me, definitely make the list, especially because of some of the characters that are usable in the beginner. Shoot, as I think about it, we're doing gamma raids, right? Gamora right now, I'm using her in the gamma raids on that left, because I do take the left side in gamma raids. So I'm using Gamora there with the other Secret Avengers. I'm using Philavel also in the Kree section too. Glad that she got that Kree tag. So for me personally, Nebula's being used in raids right now. She's being used as a character sometimes on my tech team also. So for me, definitely makes this list as one of the most valuable teams in Marvel Strike Force and worthy of investment. Right, and the next team on this list for me are some newcomers. The Web Warriors team. Happy that this team is in the game here. Happy that two of the beloved characters got reworks. Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles. Now, y'all know me. I have been talking about Miles for a long time. I like this kid. I think he has one of the most solid kits in Marvel Strike Force. Now, not the greatest kid in Marvel Strike Force, but I've loved what he's been able to do for a long time. That speed bar reduction, the slow, the disrupt. Now he's clearing buffs with the basic attack. Oh, I love all of it. Spider-Man, just an OG Spider-Man character. I mean, we all love OG Spider-Man, one of the most iconic characters in the game here. So love that he got a rework, and the 3 new characters that are added to this team make them such a dynamic force in these Doom raids. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doom 1.0, Doom 1.1, Doom 2.0, 2.2, 2.3, 2.1, 2.2. I messed the numbers up there, but you knew what I was saying. They are such a solid, dominant team. You can damn near put the team on auto and just have them go at it, right? They're so strong. They have evades. They have so many buffs all the time. They're throwing debuffs out there. It's amazing to watch this team. Now, one of the things that I also do like about them as well is that with Spider-Man Miles and with OG Spider-Man getting a rework, they now become a little bit more early game viable. Just those 2 characters, not the rest of them because they're new, but Miles and Spider-Man, they become more viable now in the early game. Now, I will say this, they do have a breakpoint, or not breakpoint, but you do need to at least get them to level 70. Let's put it this way. Their rework stats don't really kick in until they get to level 71. So, but you know that your idea here is that if you're investing into them as the early meta, that you're going to yield the long-term dividend on those investments, because once you get them to level 70, once you get them higher, you know that you're gonna get a good return on your investment here. So they become early game viable for that reason. Also, their kits to get slightly reworked too, where there's, although some of the stuff is in raids, you're still able to use it in the beginner portion of the game. To the mid game point, they're Hero City characters, so you can use them in some of the challenges. They're Hero City characters, so you can also use them in, once you get to level 70, as 2 characters that can get you through the early Heroes 7-1, 7-2, 7-3 campaign. So for me, one of the most valuable teams. They're also not terrible in war. We initially thought that they were going to be really bad in war. Their kit was way too heavy in raids. Now, they're not beating top tier Heroes for Hire Young Avengers team, but they are a solid team in war. And I don't think I've lost a matchup that I've used them against so far. And I've seen that they've been challenging a war defense too. So for me, definitely as a newcomers, they deserve to be on this list. All right, and the next team on this list, so one of my favorite teams in the game, are the Astonishing X-Men. Jubilee's new costume, it's growing on me, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's growing on me a little bit, but I love X-Men. Now, they are starting to lose a little bit of they're kind of losing a little bit of grace because of the way that the Doom 2 raids are right now. They do find in 2.0, they do find in 2.1, but 2.2, 2.3, it's a little bit of a challenge right now. I'm seeing a lot of players who are swapping out Weapon X, swapping out Omega Red, swapping out and putting in Omega Red. I'm seeing players who are using Emma and Omega Red in that Boston, but I still think as an overall team, they are good. The problem with this team is that some of those nodes are so RNG heavy that it doesn't really help them out once you get to those higher level difficulty levels in those Doom 2 raids. But still, to me, very, very, very solid team. Also, a lot of these characters now are starting to become a little bit more easier to obtain, as opposed to Jubilee, obviously, who's a legendary character. But Bishop now being in one of the raid orbs, Iceman, Kitty Pryde, Beast as a farmable node. So some of these characters now are becoming a little bit easier to obtain, which I think does go a long way as well as you're kind of moving forward. Iceman's in the villains campaign too. So, but overall, what do? They perform very well in those raids, so definitely worth investing into. Jubilee's amazing in Dark Dimension, so a really good character to use there as well. And also in war, I'm still using them right now as a war counter for X-Men. I've used them against Web Warriors. I've seen Web Warriors on defense quite a bit recently. I'm using X-Men against Mercs. A lot of the times now I'm using them against Mercs because Doc Ock Sinister 6 team, I'm using them against Mercs because I'm starting to see some big Merc teams. I'm wondering if players are like investing into mercs a little bit more now, but I'm going to see some big merc teams here, and they're a reliable merc counter as well. So I'm finding a lot of value there with the Axemen team. Still think that they're one of the most valuable teams to invest into Marvel Strike Force, at least as of right now. We'll see what happens, because we know that later on this year, there are going to be some more mutant characters coming. So maybe they get replaced, but as of right now, because of who they are, what they do, they're definitely one of the most valuable teams for me. All right, and the next team on this list for me, what a surprise, right? Secret Avengers. Oh my God, like they're just amazing. Cap Sam just doesn't ever get any debuffs, and then is super tanky, and then Maria Hill, amazing. Oh, Kestrel might be individually one of the best, still might be the best character in the game. Well, though you can make a case, Icarus and Cersei, but they kind of got to be together. Kestrel might still be individually the best character in the game by herself, like alone, without anybody else around. But that's not how the game is played. But so and she's also technically not a Secret Avenger character, but she definitely does work with this team quite a bit here. Secret Avengers, in my opinion, definitely probably one of the better teams in the game, in my opinion. When it first got introduced, a lot of us were like, yeah, why do we need this team? This team is a waste, kind of, sort of. And then we started to realize that no, they were the Doom 1.0, 1.1 answer. They actually made it significantly easier. And then Doom 2.0 and then Doom 2 raids got introduced, and we're like, oh, so they were created for this, right? They were created for this. So super dominant team in the game right now. Sharon Carter I like a lot of what she does. The speed bar reduction, I mean, there's just so many things that she does that I like. The ability block, the clearing positive effects, the stun, the slow. There's so many things that she does. Captain Sam, crazy, super tanky character. But why they're on this list? They're multifaceted, right? They're great in war. They're great in raids. Captain Sam, I'm seeing him a lot right now in Arena, which still kind of perplexes me at times, because I'm like, he's not that challenging. But people have had success using him on offense with Eternal. So for me personally, it just proves and talks to the viability of maybe Captain Sam even being an individual character that is probably a little bit more plug and play than I probably realize here. Maria Hill, great for her heals. Very, very solid, good health right now. So, and also within her kit, being able to clear positive effects. Now, a lot of what they do is centered around other skill characters. That's the one thing that I probably don't like about some of them, but they're still very good, still awesome in war. There are a counter that I use a lot against those Doom teams. I use them pretty much basically essentially against Doom teams. I see some big Marauders Doom teams at times. Sometimes I'll use them against that Doom Hood team, because I'll see some G15 or BH 2.0 teams. I'm like, you guys know that you only need to invest into Doom, right? You don't need Magneto at G15. It's okay. But I do see that I've seen some G14, G15 Magneto, so I do like to use them against those counters. Definitely against Doom, against the Uncanny teams right now with Magic. They're a really, really solid counter against those teams as well. So do like using this team quite a bit. They're definitely, for me, because of their multifaceted use, become one of those teams that definitely makes this list for me as well. All right, and the next team on this list, I know it's a little controversial, but I feel like it's worth talking about them because of, it's not just about endgame for me, right? And yes, they're technically only really good in war, but if you are a mid-game player, the X Factor team is a really important team for you because of some of the content that you need them to do in the game. So once you get to those Doom campaigns, right, you need, there's like X Factor, Inhumans, like Hero Mutant. Those are like your options that are available to you. And unfortunately, characters like Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Beast, like they're not great without Jubilee. So your options really are that you kind of have to lean into X Factor. And for that reason, I think that they're one of the more valuable teams. This is me trying to think about the mid-game players and not just think about endgame here. I do think that based on that alone, that they become one of the more valuable teams in this game. I also think even Zemo, because of the fact that once you get to Villains Chapter 7, Zemo can hard carry those 3 nodes that you need to get through in Villains Chapter 7-1, 7-2, 7-3 as well. So even Zemo, I think individually as well, is one of the most valuable characters at that point. And this team for me is more valuable because of what you have what you need them for. They also unlock a legendary, right? Multiple Man, Shatterstar, Polaris, Longshot. They are used to unlock a legendary character in the game. Now, granted, you might say that we don't, that legendary character and Adam things, but still, good character. Adam Warlock is a part of one of the most valuable teams in the game. So therefore, for me, I think that this team definitely has to show up on this list for me as being one of the most valuable. Also, right now in War, we've seen them now that they're able to counter Young Avengers, who's supposed to be one of the better War teams in the game. I know there's some controversy there, but they are one of the better War defensive teams in the game, and we've seen now that X Factor Zemo is able to clear that team, not with ease per se, but they are dominant there. And we do have to include some teams that maybe are not necessarily great outside of one particular game, but are so dominant in that game mode that they are definitely worth mentioning. And that's the reason why X Factor's on this team, mostly because of the mid-game viability per se, although they're primarily end-game War mostly. But for me, I had to include this team here because I do realize the value that they have as a team that you can use or that you need to really get through some of those Doom campaign nodes. All right, we knew this one was coming. It's the New Warriors. The New Warriors are the next team I'm going to talk about here on this list. I mean, they're good. They're like really good, right? They're really good everywhere, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some of these characters with Dormammu soon, or we might already be seeing them with Dormammu right now in Arena Shards. But New Warriors are really strong. The only thing I don't like about this team is that they are like, their cooldowns are crazy, man. Oh, holy cooldowns, man. Like Cloak's ult, Dagger's ult, Deathpool's ult. There's just so many cooldowns going on. I got Silver Surfer and I got Emma with them because that's how I use them in War right now. But they're also a really good War team, right? So I really, and also, you know what I don't like about them? That they're kind of squishy. But let's not talk about the bad. This is talking about most valuable. They're really good. Apart from that, they are actually a really good, solid and fun team to play with. I love playing with this team quite a bit. They're amazing in raids. They were already good in raids without Eternals, right? They were so dominant there in that game mode without them. It was pretty much basically New Warriors and Surfer and Adam Warlock, or New Warriors and Surfer and Doom, and New Warriors and Surfer and Adam Warlock. Silver Surfer was being used quite a bit, but the point about it is that they were so dominant in raids already, and they became even more dominant with having the Eternals there. The Eternals benefit so much from also having Deathpool to be able to feed them that energy. That's also really impactful as well. Also being able to use Deathpool to spread some of those negative effects that they're also able to administer to some of those enemies is also really solid. But in War, great in War also, right? I mean, they are used to counter so many teams right now in the game. Used with Silver Surfer and Emma, but they're very, very, very solid as a unit and as a team. I'm happy right now that Dagger and Cloak are a little bit more available. I'm hoping that they become actually farmable. At some point in time soon, I would like for them to become farmable. But for me, not much else to say about this team, but definitely for me, gotta show up on this list. All right, and this one probably is a little controversial. I understand it, but it's a Shadowland team, and it's more value at the early part of the game. At end game for me right now, they're only used in one War. I invested quite a bit into them. I have a G14 White Tiger and Moon Knight, a G14 Night Nurse, Elektra and Daredevil are at gear tier 12, but for me, like, they are definitely a valuable team in this game because of what they're able to provide for you in the early part of the game. A lot of the characters are incredibly easy to get. White Tiger is in the Blitz node, is in the Blitz store. Elektra, you pretty much basically get for free. Daredevil, you're going to unlock him pretty easily. Night Nurse is available in the early villains campaign. Moon Knight, I think, is in Cosmic or Nexus. I don't exactly remember, but a lot of these characters are Hero City characters. And with that being said, it may not, you're probably going to need some other characters that you can use that are available to you once you do get to that villains chapter, that hero chapter 7 node, and you need some villain characters that you can use there and that only have the Hero City tag, Moon Knight, White Tiger, Night Nurse provide some solid value there that you can probably use with Spider-Man and use with Miles, right? So I got to include them on this list just because of that value there. They're also decent and okay in some of the other areas of the game right now. Maybe someone like the Greek raids, you can probably find some value for them there, but that's very, 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 very early on. I wouldn't really push it that farther. That's like Greek 3, like if you're doing Greek 3 raids, but you know, that's the reason why I added them onto this list here, is because I know that they're very easy to get earlier on in the game, and I know that there are going to be some players who are going to need some stuff that will be able to get to Hero Chapter 7. So I wanted to provide them as a value option for you there. Don't go too hard. Don't need to bring them up to G14. That's past your time. If you're a newer player or a mid-game player, that's past your time. You don't need to bring them up that high, but from the value of Hero City challenges and Hero City campaigns that you need them for, then Shadowlane definitely does to make it on this list as a value team for that right now. All right, and the last team I'm going to talk about on this list, actually there's one more, but we're pretty much basically gonna in the home stretch here. Last team I'm going to talk about on this list are the Eternals. I don't even know if I need to talk about them. They're really good. If you weren't aware, they're like really good. They like are a team amongst themselves because they are Eternals. Yeah, that joke in the land. All right, but either way, they're a really solid tandem in Marvel Strike Force. This list was about the best tandems in Marvel Strike Force. They definitely would make it as on the top of the list. So they're last, but they're certainly not least by any sort of means. Icarus and Cersei together are amazing. They're great. They're powerful tandem that does a lot of damage. Cersei not as much on the damage side, but because of what she's able to do with flipping buffs, with stealing buffs, with being able to the speed bar reduction from both of them, the fact that in Dark Dimension she's viable in Dark. I mean, where are they not going to be good, right? They're going to be good in Dark Dimension. They're great in Arena. They're great in War. They are dominant in raids. I mean, they are the tandem that you literally can use in every possible game mode in this game that doesn't restrict them from being used, right? So they definitely show up on this list as valuable usage sort of characters in this game. So that's the reason why I left them for last, but obviously they are not last by any means. Now, one other team that I wanted to talk about on this list too was, and I hope it pops up now, I actually wanted to talk about Weapon X. And now, granted, I don't think that they're one of the most valuable teams in terms of versatility, but they are going to be so dominant and necessary right now in War. We know with Young Avengers, they're going to be a counter for that team. Dark Hunter is probably going to be slotted and used more for your Heroes for Hire counter moving forward, and probably Infinity Watch too, right? Infinity Watch here and Dark Hunters are going to be used for your counters for Heroes for Hire, and then Weapon X is pretty much essentially going to be used for your Eternals hybrid teams, your Young Avengers team. That's essentially what this team is going to be used for. So in my opinion, they definitely got to make this list just because they are the best War offense team right now in the game. Maybe we'll probably move in some other teams on this list too, like Dark Hunter, depending on how viable they are. But I do think that there's a possibility that Dr. Voodoo might in the future be used for a counter to Dormammu. We'll see though. We'll see how that works out. But definitely do think this is going to conclude our list right now. These are the teams that I have on this list. There's a lot of other teams that we could have talked about. We could have talked about Black Order. We could have talked about some other teams that were more valuable in the early part of the game, but I know that from the sake of wanting to save resources, I don't want to mention some of those teams because I know that things that might feel differently about it. But curious to know, guys, what are your thoughts on the most valuable teams in the game? Are there some teams that I left out, some teams that you think that I should be adding to this list here? I want to hear your thoughts where that is concerned. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do like the video, guys. Check out the links that are down below in the description. Definitely check out Ray Boss for sure. Try that game out. Also check out Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. I do stream Marvel Strike Force content on a weekly basis, so do check that out as well. Patreon, which is another way for you to support the channel for just $2 a month. So do take a look at that down below as well. Amazon coins if you're looking to save some money on your Marvel Strike Force in-game purchases. The Amazon coins is right for you guys. But listen, appreciate you guys watching the video. Until next time, y'all be blessed and y'all be safe. Bye.